I think many actors, myself included, at different points are taught to believe that success requires limitless versatility, that the goal is to disappear into every role, to never be recognizable, to never be typed. And while that idea is seductive, it often leads to a longer, more frustrating road. Not because versatility is bad, but because it's not how most careers are actually built. The market doesn't respond to unlimited possibility. It responds to knowing what it's getting. And the moment an actor can say, this is who I am in the room, this is the kind of energy I bring, this is the function I serve, something shifts. The work becomes more focused, the choices become more intentional, and ironically, the career often opens up faster. What Carolyn talks about in this episode is not limitation, it's alignment. It's understanding how the industry already sees you, and instead of resisting that perception, learning how to refine it and make it indispensable. That kind of self knowledge doesn't box you in, it gives you leverage. And if you're an actor listening to this and wondering why the path feels longer than it needs to be, or why the industry seems confused about where to place you, this conversation is worth your attention. Because sometimes the breakthrough isn't about becoming something new, it's about finally owning what you already are. Welcome to In the Waiting Room podcast, where we dive into the real lives of working actors. Whether you trained at top schools or came up through self-made hustle, this space is for honest conversations about the grind, side jobs, the craft, and the faith it takes to keep going. I'm Rashad Edwards, your host, and this podcast is about the journey between the big breaks. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at In the Waiting Room Pod, and if you're a working actor, fill out the survey in our bio so we can learn from your journey too. Let's get into it. Welcome to In the Waiting Room.
Thank you.
Is it Carolyn?
Yes.
Do you go by Carolyn Michelle? Oh, how is it?
Absolutely. So Michelle is my middle name, so I just go by Carolyn normally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Perfect. So, we just want to hear from you on
Yeah.
kind of what are the factors that led you to want to study acting and become a professional actor.
Yeah. So I would say around 7, really young, real young. I kind of always knew that I wanted to be some sort of artist. I just knew that like science fields weren't I was not really interested in science or math. Respect it, but just that wasn't my thing. And I told my mom, I was like, I'm gonna be an artist. And I didn't know what kind of artist, but around 9, I ended up doing this children's theater that was in Georgia because we lived in Doraville, Georgia at the time. And it was really great. That's really how I started to get into theater. The person who ran it was someone I really looked up to, and it all began from there.
Mm. And so prior to that, had you had any experience in doing any acting?
Mm,
Were you just one of those kids that couldn't sit still in class,
mm.
had to be in front? Were you the only child?
Yes, so I definitely was the only child. I have two half sisters through my dad, but I grew up with my mom primarily, and I was never restless, but I was always observant. I loved watching people, and I was always very curious and liked to talk about what I saw or observed.
Mhm.
Um, and I loved stories. My mom used to work for the federal government at the time in DC for the IMF. And whenever she had days that I could come into the office with her, it was always like a big treat to like sit at a big computer because all computers were big back then.
Right.
But sit at a computer and like I would type out stories and then like share them with her at the end of the day. And I took so much pride in being able to create stories. Um, and I always liked having something to do. So anytime she would take me out and I knew that I would have some downtime, I would always have like a little bag of my activities, whether it was coloring or something to play with. I liked having things to do. I liked being occupied.
Mhm.
Um, and so Yeah, yeah, that's kinda how I was as a kid. Yes, yes. Absolutely. Not actors, but I mean, it all blends, right? And so my uncle on my mother's side, he was a poet. He loved poetry, so he would write his own poetry, um, and perform it in Trinidad because that's where my family's from originally.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. And then my aunt, also on my mom's side, she used to do a lot of poetry and like old school Trinidadian version of stand up, kind of like telling stories. It was
Mm.
like she had a performer spirit, and she was like also the only other left hander in the family next to me. So I feel like we share something there. But yeah, she definitely was.
Is that a thing with our left-handed? One time when I was in middle school, this kid said that left-handed people are gifted.
Yes.
You grew up believing that?
I mean, yes, because I wanted to believe that. But there are supposed to be studies there that prove that left-handers tend to use that side of the brain that really connects more with creativity. And so, yes, it's a lot of artists have been left-handers.
Hmm.
Right-handers are great too.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So from the Georgia to you go to undergrad in Georgia too, or and
So in
study
Georgia,
acting?
yeah, so basically in Georgia, so I was really young. I did children's theater in Georgia, and then we ended up moving from Georgia to Maryland, where I got into high school. And it was really during my high school time that I got really into acting and into their drama department. I helped build a Shakespeare club at my high school, and that's really where there was a lot of momentum. And then I decided to study acting in undergrad, and I went to Fordham here
Oh.
in the city. Yeah. So I went to Fordham for undergrad, and it was great for cultivating. At that time, we didn't have the term, artist entrepreneur. You know what I mean? Someone who's sort of like a multi hyphenate. We just didn't have that language then, but it was a space that encouraged um, sort of creating projects. And that's one thing I loved about it. So yeah, I
Hmm.
saw a lot of friends from that.
And how did you find your way into the business once you got out of grad or undergrad? Like, did you go straight from undergrad to graduate school?
No, no, no. I did not want to go back to school. I'll be 100% honest with you. I did not. I kind of felt like after undergrad, I just really sort of staunchly was like, no more school for me. But,
Hmm.
at the time, I think my boyfriend had gotten into, Columbia and their grad acting program, and so because he was there, he would often go check out shows at NYU and a lot of other schools around the city, and so I would just sort of tag along. I would hang out and, like, come see some of these shows. And I remember seeing we went to NYU, and they did a production of Playboy of the West Indies, and yes, and so that's where I met Denai Guerrera when she was still a student, and,
Yeah.
um, quite a few other folks from that class. Nicole Salter was there around that time
Hmm.
too, and so, yeah, it was that around then is when I thought, "Oh, maybe I might go back to grad school, maybe." Um, but I ended up instead doing an apprentice program at Actors Theater of Louisville. They used to have something called the performing uh, I forget what it's called now. It's ultimately an apprenticeship program that was for actors where they got a
Hmm.
chance to take master classes, create their own work, but also do shows or select roles in some of the like main stage shows that they had during like Humana Festival. And that was a lesson. That was the lesson that I needed to then prepare me to apply for grad school because I think I needed to have real world time. That's what it was. I wanted some real world time. Um, and it gave me that to say, great, I have this perspective to now go into a training program with like grad
So
school.
you saying when you say real world time, you wanted to see how your training would manifest in the business and what you would get out of it?
Yes, how my undergraduate training would fare in the real
Hmm.
world. Yeah, I was curious about that. And I also just wanted to have some experiences working with professionals that were older than me and had been established for a little bit. And I felt like I needed to understand the way the industry worked before
Hmm.
jumping back into grad school. And I'm glad that I did because it allowed me to come back to grad school very intentional and
Mm.
knowing exactly why I was there. That it was, yes, tools, but it was also other very intentional goals that I had while being there at Juilliard. Yeah.
You mind sharing what those goals were?
Yeah, yeah. So during the process of applying, I remember, I think I had just finished that apprentice program and I was here in New York. We had a showcase, and out of that showcase, I think I started working freelance with like a commercial agent, but nothing legit. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this grad school journey to start applying. And I remember in the process of applying, I started to feel really overwhelmed, like, which I think a lot of people applying for grad school start to get very overwhelmed and doubt themselves and like, am I choosing the right pieces? Is this going to let them know who I am? And, it can be because I coach a lot of students for grad school auditions. I know how maddening that time is.
Mhm.
Um, and because I could start to feel I'd chosen my pieces, I felt good about them, and I was working with a coach. And because I could start to feel that sort of spin out begin, I was like, Carolyn, let's just take this to the page for a second. Like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you applying to grad school now? And what do you want? And what I wanted was a stronger connection to my voice and to my vocal instrument,
Mhm.
figurative voice and literal voice. Stronger freedom of movement, ability to make instinctive physical choices. That was important to me. Um, and also really to anchor myself in a network that I knew that I would be able to like actively be a part of to potentially open up work opportunities. I was very conscious of that because at that point, after undergrad and having been in the world a bit and doing that apprenticeship, I was like, oh, not all jobs you get by talent alone. It's not just about talent. And I was glad that I started to figure that out, even just a glimmer of it a little early. And I was also an older student, I'd already done undergrad. Coming to Juilliard, I was like a full woman. So it was all very intentional. So those are my very and that I wrote down. And I was like, great. And I tell my coaching students now, whenever I coach anyone who's looking to apply for those programs, I'm like, get specific what it is that you want. Because I ended up getting that and then so much more, which is a huge,
Mhm. So how much time between undergrad and grad school?
long time. Um, I started grad school, honestly, I started grad school at 28.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I started at 32.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I know
Okay, great.
exactly what you
So you know what?
mean.
Yes,
Yeah.
you get it.
You do
Yes.
go within with more intention because you go, okay, you see and what I saw was a kind of like a slow build
Yes.
of the career, like, and then I started to meet people who were from grad programs like Yale, Juilliard, and
Yes.
NYU, and they all had this sort of understanding and knowledge of being in the craft, and I was like, I think I need some of that.
Mm,
I need to be able to grasp that and take it out there and work.
yes. Yes.
So you saw the difference. You took the time off, and then you got your goal. You accomplished your goal. How did you fare with agents at
Mm,
Showcase?
yeah. Oh, wow. So Showcase, man, everybody's got their Showcase stories, I bet. So Showcase was such a journey. I mean, honestly, I had a challenging time. I mean, to be honest, I remember we would have some agents or managers that would sort of hang around like third year, coming to see shows and starting to like sort of have these little intimate connections with individual students. And it wasn't until you get into the dressing room that you're like, oh yeah, so I'm talking to Bleedy Boo I might be having a meeting with da 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 da. And that's like third year. And I was like,
Yeah.
so by fourth year, everybody's like, who am I gonna get with? You know what I mean? And so for me, I wouldn't have no conversations third year, but by fourth year, we had our showcase. New York went well. I had a lot of casting director interest, more than I expected.
Mm,
A lot of casting director interest. And then when it came to agents, I had maybe two that were interested in New York. And then I went to LA and because I wanted to wait to meet with the New York folks after I came back from LA.
yeah.
So I had the 2 bits that were interested, agents-wise, here. We go out to LA for the showcase. Again, a lot of casting director interest, like, no agents that were interested, and I was like, "Ooh." A couple managers, but to be honest, nobody that was, like, no real heavy hitters, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Look, you can create a career, we know this. You don't need no heavy hitters for starting out, but for me, I didn't get a ton of attention. By the time I came back to New York, the one agency, the 2 agencies that I was interested in, they were like, "Oh, no, we're good." And I was like,
Oh no.
"It's been a week." You know what I mean? And so that completely fell through. So I came out of the Juilliard showcase with no agent at all. I had some manager interest, but no paperwork signed, no handshake deals. What got me my manager was doing a show at Williamstown Theater
Mm,
Festival that same summer. And so Katori Hall, God bless her soul, this is another thing. Black women have made my career, helped to make my career. I will always, I'm telling you, we already know black women are amazing, but truly. But Katori Hall was writing a play called What a Blood Clot at Juilliard. And it was my first year, and there were no other students of Caribbean descent for this lead female character.
yes.
And I was like, great. My family's Trini. This is what I do, you know? So we became close. I started doing workshops of it from my first year at Juilliard. And so my first job, this is how perfect, perfect full circle. My first job was What a Blood Clot at Williamstown. And that's where I met my manager and we began working together. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you've had something like this happen more often in your career
In terms of,
in terms of a job or some sort of workshop turning into a job later or adding to the next job.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at this point, I kind of think of it as like a layering effect. This is also why I think it's important to always say yes. Always say yes when it feels aligned because, um, yeah, you just never know. You never know the multitude of other jobs that come from one opportunity.
Right.
Um, it was from working on that because Brian Tyree Henry was in that same production. So that's how I met Brian and Aaron
Mm,
Costaganis, another
mm.
NYU alum who I became really cool with there.
Yeah.
Greta Lee was in that same production, and, Tina Benko, some really great actors were in that production. And Williamstown was a great environment because I was able to meet a lot of other actors that were peers that were also just coming out of school as well too, or still in school,
Mhm,
and make some solid friendships. But yeah, it was a pivotal time. It was a pivotal time.
mm. And so are you still with the same manager? You still have the same manager?
Oh, no. Um, God bless them, though. God bless them. You know, they were my advocates at a time where I was new and I had no advocates at that point. And so I found them to be really, really helpful. But I think the thing that we are never told when we're in school, I think we're all kind of praying that when you graduate from any of these grad programs, that a CAA or UTA or a paradigm signs you, and then you just go, guns blazing into the sunset, always booking big blockbuster roles, like it just don't stop. I think that's where our brains kind of all go. And that's not the case for everyone, and definitely wasn't the case for me. I'm not with that management company anymore, and I've since gone through a few managers. But the one that I'm with now, it is the most aligned, divine, perfect relationship. And he understands me in terms of the kind of work that I want to build. And we have a vision together that we set forth on the moment that we met, and we're making it happen. So, yeah, dream team.
That's that's awesome. So how did you find that? What factors led to wanting to find the perfect relationship, I guess, when it comes to management representation?
I mean, what makes you wanna find the perfect you got to go through a few other relationships that don't work, you know what I mean? I mean, that's the reality. You can only learn when things don't work, you can only have the hope for what it looks like for something to be better when things don't always work, and I didn't have traumatic experiences, none of them were that traumatic, but, no, I think that it was interesting because I learned about over the course of those different relationships, how I enjoy communicating with a manager, what feels like a good professional frequency of communication, and also what are my expectations of this dynamic and working relationship? What are theirs? Um, and I think it takes time to get to that place because it's a relationship at the end of the day. I think we're not thinking about that. We're just, when we're first coming out, we're just like, this is someone who's going to get me jobs. That is not it at all, actually. It's, this is someone who has their resources for introducing you to potential opportunities. And it's up to you really to bring possible work as well from other sources. And yes, be able to take hold of the opportunities that they present to you. And that's it. And then what happens in between there in terms of the dynamic, you have to actively foster. And that may take time. We've been together now for this will be our third year. And I'm not going nowhere and he's not going nowhere. We just know what it is. We talk almost I wouldn't say every day, but at least twice, if not three times a week. Yeah, he gets me, I get him, and I love it.
What do you, not getting into the specifics, what are the nature of those conversations?
Yes, great question. A few things. He knows that I am always curious about the details regarding contracts and what I can potentially get in terms of a contract. So I'm going to always ask him hard questions like, great. So for your other clients, what are the types of things you've negotiated? Right. I'll be honest, just real talk, as a Black woman, a lot of those things are kept from you in terms of what else you can get. And I think that it's important to be able to be in parlance with somebody who understands that and is open to going deep with you and be like, okay, this is what the deal is. And so he's had some other great clients before. And, there was one of his amazing clients who's one of our legends. She has a wig. She has a wig deal in her contract that if she brings in a wig of hers, that production uses, she's paid for that. I didn't know that was a thing. You know what I
Right.
mean? So,
Yeah.
like little things like that. But then a lot of our other conversations outside of just being about contractual business stuff and deals is also about vision, right? So one of the things that we set forth on, when we first started working together was I said to him, because it took some time to arrive to this place, but it hit me. I was like, oh, Carolyn, you have the ability to really actively craft a career. And then if you can, what does that look like for you? What do you really want? And by that point in meeting him, had figured out, oh, I think I know what my type is. I know how people see me. I know how casting sees me and the kinds of roles I go out for. Great. That's great information. So based on that, what's a realm in this industry, a space that I really want to fit into or not fit into, like a lane I wanna get into, and I was like, "You know what? Ain't no Black woman in indie film." They're just if I ask, like, we think of, like, our brain goes to, like, the Octavia Spencers or the Viola Davises and the Kerry Washingtons, but they're not doing an indie film now.
Mm.
Not at this point,
Yeah.
and I also it hit me, I was like, "I wanna do the work that I enjoy watching."
Mm.
That's important to me. I wanna be able to watch a story that I've been a part of and say, "Oh god, I'm loving this DP's vision. I'm loving the way that and I love indie film." And so I told him, I said, "This is gonna be a rare thing, but I want us to move forward and I want us to go hard in the indie space. And I have some ideas about that. Let's talk." And so we talked, and he was like, "Great, let's see if we can start like connecting you with some directors just to have maybe conversations or, why don't you watch these films, get a sense of what your aesthetic is, do your research." And that's helped me a lot. And then while doing that work, it just started to happen. A friend of mine wrote and directed Familiar Touch, the film that I'm in that won over 3 awards at Venice, has done really well at New Directors, New Films. And right now we're in the running trying to see if, you know, we were able to get nominated for some Gotham Awards. It's been a really great run with this film. And she was just a friend who I'd worked with before who was doing this. And so once that happened, so now other projects have started happening, other indie projects. And so it's become something where, like intention,
Hmm.
you put out exactly what it is that you want. And then it's not so much that you have to wrestle it to happen. Things just start to sort of align and you have to trust that over time.
Oh, that's amazing. Um, so the manager understands this, is very responsive and has connections. Does this manager go out and create introductions for you?
No,
Right.
no.
Could you tell the audience what a manager's role is in
Yes,
an actor's career?
absolutely. So, I mean, there's agents and managers, both get 10%. I think managers are a bit more personal in their approach. Mine definitely is. He is, I think really what he does is it's not about like a phone call pickup. Yes, he will call if if I've auditioned for a project or someone reaches out with interest about me and he'll have a conversation, but he's not on the phone all day calling casting directors on my behalf. When I came to him, I'd already had a lot of casting contacts, both in New York and LA. And so I literally provided him that list. I said, hey, look, these are the casting directors that I know. And that was really helpful for him so that when something came up, he could say, they were on your list, Carolyn. So that was good. Um, what he does do is, I think it's more about his aesthetic and what he knows we're going for, like his understanding the vision. And so what that looks like is he has other clients that do a lot of indie films, so he just remembers names. And so one of his other clients just went out for and actually is shooting this really great biopic. I'm not going to talk about it or mention it, but that's coming out. And so there was a role in it that my manager was like, great, so and so's going out for this. You should be going out for this. So it was really about finding a manager that had relationships in the space, indie space that I really wanted to be in. And that's what he has. So it's about he's just leveraging, he's leveraging information. That's really
Yeah.
what he does.
Hmm. And so you primarily have an agent, I mean, a manager, no agent.
So I have an agent as well.
Okay.
I'm with Buckwald and I've been with them now since 2020, so I guess 5 years now. Um, yeah, I my closer relationship was with my manager. I love my agent, and he's been great. He's really about the job and also great communicator, clear and easy to connect with. I can text him if I need to. Um, we can hop on the phone. It doesn't feel like he's too far distant. And they're both LA based while I'm here in the city.
Hmm. And do you get wind of any roles via casting breakdowns that you go like, oh, I found this thing, and so I'm reaching out to you because I want to go out for this as well.
That's a good question. I mean, I'll be honest, I personally don't, but I think there are a lot of actors that do, which is really cool. Sometimes I'll get wind of an opportunity, not so much from like sort of like research online or things like that. Yeah, sometimes I might see like, there might be like a deadline announcement for something. I'm like, hey, let's keep this on our radar, and I can just text my manager and say that. And we will, or reach out to the casting people and see kind of what's coming down the pike for that. But for the most part, it's I would say it's kind of just through a lot of the things that I submit on, which are through both of them, through Buckwald and through James. So yeah.
You had mentioned how the industry sees you. How do you think they see you?
Yeah, yeah. Um, it's interesting. I think that so I know that the industry sees me in a way that is for now, that is gentle and supportive, present. So and that those are true qualities of mine as Carolyn. I can't deny those. But that essence comes through in roles that are either authorities or caretakers, right? Or so just gentle spirits, past spirits. I tell you, I used to make a joke. I used to say, if you need a dead mama, you can contact me. I play a lot of dead mamas. I ain't mad at it though.
What is it? What is it about the dead mamas?
I'll tell you what it is. It's a combination of caretaking and authority, but with like, I guess a wisdom from
Yeah, yeah,
beyond.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's I'm here for it. Look, know your casting, make your life easy. That's my philosophy. Know your casting, make your life easy. And also, yeah, I really believe this. I think that when we're first coming out of school, we are so sensitive about our casting. And it's like, why? And we want to change it so bad. No, lean into it. Lean into it and then also know the shadows of it as well. And so I believe there are, and Ellen Novak once said this. She's a great sort of luminary in the acting theater community and was a casting director as well too. And she came to Juilliard once and we did an on-camera workshop with her. And she's like, you have to know your gives, what people feel and see automatically when they see you, right? To determine your
Mhm.
casting. But you also have to know what your shadow is, what's on the opposite side of that. So if my gives are that I'm warm and like a nice warm authority that you can trust, that there can also be a darker side to that, right?
Yes.
And so you have to figure out what's needed for what role, right? And where you can play with glimmers of both.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was your experience like on The Shy?
Yes, yeah. Really good. I really loved it. First of all, I loved working on it because The Shy is a show, and, if you ever are you from Chicago? Have you been to Chicago?
Yes, I've been there.
Okay. So, The Shy was a show, and I mean, God bless it because it opened up a lot for me, and I really thank Lena Waithe specifically for being just someone that really opened up a world for me that I had not yet stepped into at that point in my career. I loved working on The Shy because it was a show about Black people for Black people. I ain't gonna lie. That's why I loved it. It was a show about Black people and about our lives in Chicago, and Chicagoans loved that show quite a bit, like, and had a lot of care for it. Now, it was an opportunity to be able to play with other actors about storylines that also meant a lot to me, especially in playing Deja. Deja was really tender to me because Deja to me represented this every woman quality. There is a Black woman now that I definitely count myself in the number of that has done and been taught to do everything that we need to do to not to survive, but thrive. And so we get to this place in our lives where we can afford things that we need to afford, right? And do what we need to do. And also maybe in a space where we're open to love, right? We're open to being in partnership. And then what does that look like? And I loved that finally there was a story written about that I connect to that also so many other Black women connect to. And so I would have Black women DMing me being like, sis, you shot, he was in jail. Why would you? But then also some of them were like, but sis, I get it, like, cause he really seemed to care about you and I hope he doesn't mess up. He did mess up in the
Of
end.
course. I mean, it's written to written to mess
It makes
up.
for great TV. It makes for great TV.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be perfect.
Can't be perfect. That's never what
No,
it's
but
gonna be.
but that's the everlasting story is to show people how human we all are, not to show how perfect we are,
No, no.
right? There would not be a story at all. If everything just turned out perfect. What are we learning from that story?
Yes, exactly. So true, so true. So true. Yeah.
But I
Yeah, no,
was aware.
go ahead.
So no one's saying, but no, you had a great storyline. How many episodes did you do?
I would say probably about 13 episodes, maybe. It was over the course of 2 seasons, so it's, seasons 5 and 6. Yeah.
Obviously, so you probably did 6 and 7 or six
Yes,
and
I think it might have been like 7 and 6. Yeah.
7 and 6.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right,
yeah. We
great.
had fun. And Lena, the huge blessing of it is I had auditioned for the original. Like, I had auditioned for the pilot
Oh,
of the
really?
Yeah, so I was living in LA, it was 2018, and that pilot season, a lot of pilots were circulating, but that one, I remembered reading and be like, I need to audition for this, and was able to get like, I think, audition for like a recurring guest star at the time then. And as a matter of fact, that recurring guest ended up turning into a series regular because that same woman, she and I were in, that same actress, we were both in scenes together, and she's amazing, so warm, so talented.
Which one was which role?
She played Tracy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, she's amazing, she's amazing, and so I auditioned, and it was interesting because I didn't book the pilot, but that script lingered with me, I'm not gonna lie, I loved that script so much, I ended up teaching that script to my acting students. Yeah, and just for them to understand pilot structure or, understand TV, episode
Yeah,
structure and all of that, and it just stuck with me, and then when I started teaching for Hillman Grad, I led their mentorship lab where I co-directed their mentorship lab with, many of their actors that we would, bring in every year over the course of about 2.5 years, so I was working on that with Lena, that Lena and I got to know each other, she got to know my work, and so I was working with the mentees one evening for their showcase, and I got a call from her and from Rishi, who was her colleague at the time, and they were like, "Hey, Lena, Lena's thinking about having you on the show. Would you be interested?" And
yeah.
I was like, "What? Of course." So basically, Lena wrote the role of Deja for me, which was
Nice.
a blessing, which I did not expect. Um,
Wow.
yeah, massive, massive gift. So yeah, grateful
No,
for her. Always.
that
Yeah,
and from there, you say it opened up doors for you. What do you,
yeah,
can you be a little more specific about which doors
yeah, yeah.
and
Well, I think a lot of doors. I mean, not just like doors in terms of roles and opportunities. I think it actually opened up some creative doors for me because it was a chance to be on a set frequently enough to be like, "Oh, okay, that works. Oh, that does not work. Oh, okay, great. Who who's who am I watching? Who am I working with? How are they prepping? Cool. Okay, great." Like it was just real time experience. And okay, what works camera-wise? Like what sides work? Like little things like that. How do I
Mhm.
conserve my energy? How do I stay playful, offset, but focused on
Yeah,
camera, right? Because that's important too, right? Your on-set personality is just as important as your on-camera personality, right?
yeah,
And so it's really 2 roles that you get cast as, all right?
yeah,
Uh, and so learning that was big too. But I would say, yeah, in terms of actual opportunities and roles, I think really what it started to do is it just was a bigger platform for more people to see my work and get, I guess, intimately connected to who Deja was and the Deja Shad relationship. Um, I think it was more a matter of time. I wouldn't say that the job directly opened doors, but that more eyes happened to be on me, so doors were easier to open.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, yeah, no, I get it,
Yeah.
100%. You got the exposure, and it's a very popular show,
Yeah.
um, with a very, nice character arc because people are drawn to, that conflicting, character in Shad to
Yes.
see how he's going to adjust to this world,
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so
Oh my goodness. He's so great. He's also such a great actor to work with, so it's yeah,
Jason Weaver,
best. Jason's the best.
had you watched him growing up as a kid?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Just can't wait to be king. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, the Jacksons, everything. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
definitely I mean, and so many like great 90s sitcoms too. He was a part of
yeah,
like he just was that face. He was that
yeah.
face. And he still has that face too, which is
Yeah, he
wild.
sure does, right?
But also just a really warm, so so hospitable when I came to set, so engaging, so professional, so wonderful.
Mhm.
Yeah. Really great.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You say you teach.
Yeah.
Where do you teach?
Yeah, so I have taught for quite a few years actually. I mean, I started doing some fellowships, some teaching fellowships at Juilliard and even taught before then. Now, I teach in a small studio. It's actually online. It's Tom Todoroff Studios. But last year I taught at Cornell. So I taught acting at Cornell just last year as a
Nice.
visiting lecturer. Yeah. And it was great. It was a lovely invitation. It was one of my former mentees from the Hillman grad program
Mhm.
that had gotten a faculty position over at Cornell and was like, "They're looking for acting faculty, and I think you should apply." And I was like, "Oh, Cornell? I never but isn't that Ivy League? And I don't know." She was like, "Girl, apply. I got you." She's like, "Apply."
Yeah.
apply, and I applied, and it was really has been one of the most formative years of my life,
Mhm,
um, both as an educator and as an actress.
mhm,
I didn't think that I would get so blessed with as many acting opportunities while teaching as I was during that year.
mhm.
I thought I would have to choose, and
Right.
I think that's my thing is I feel a lot of actors now and, actors now are dealing with different challenges than they were kinda when I was growing up, coming in. But I feel like in general, a lot of actors kinda coming into the scene kind of have this conflict of like, I don't wanna have a day job or, or teaching, I don't know, or whatever it is. They may have judgments about it. The second I started to release any judgments about offering hope and inspiring young minds, you know what I
Pretty
mean?
much what it
That's really
is.
what it is. Like,
Yeah.
educators are our first celebrities in my mind.
Yeah.
You'll never forget your kindergarten teacher's name. That to me, that's famous. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
That's fame. That's an early version of fame.
Yeah, of course.
But even deeper than fame, it's really about impact because you only remember her name because of how she treated you and how you felt in her class.
Yes.
And so for me, stepping into that space and being an educator is something that I really love. So last year Cornell was great, and it was only a year-long contract. So when the contract ended, I thought maybe I should stay. And I was like, Spirit was just like, no, this is actually your time to put all of the energy that you've lovingly put into these students back into yourself. And
Mhm.
that's okay. Nothing's wrong with that.
Yeah.
So I
That's
followed that.
some that's great. That's great. And, you've been gifted, uh, a skill and talent to be able to pass that on. Amazing about this craft is that,
Mm,
it's not a linear path
yes.
or anything. I mean, I imagine that you have a balance of income from acting and teaching and other various skill sets you might have, right? And that's something that I guess another thing that we would all have to embrace being in this field,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think it's always good, whether you're an actor or not, to diversify your streams of income. I think we're at that point in history where it's actually vital to, because we're not in a sort of 9 to 5 culture anymore, whether that's physically or even like, sort of thinking of having just one job. That's just we're in a multi-hyphenate culture universally, not
Hmm.
just in the acting industry, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's good to have multiple streams of income. Look, even my manager today, we just texted this morning because I just booked something, and I was like, "Oh my god, I think it's someone who I invited." Well, I want to give you too many details, but
Congratulations.
thank you. I'll give him thank
Hmm.
you so much. I appreciate that. But he's like, it's exciting that you're doing this balance of education and also acting. And he says, at some point you may have to really focus on the acting train because things are really starting to take off. And I was like, and when that time comes, I will, but I will always be an educator. And
Yeah.
too. And so it will just change form. I may not be in a physical classroom, but it'll happen. The energy of it will happen in some.
Yeah. It's yeah, again, congratulations on the booking.
Thank you.
Um so in the last 5 years, how many auditions do you think you've averaged in
Woo!
a month or
I'm scared. No, real talk. I was trying to share this with a really close friend because I'm a believer that as actors, wherever we store our self tapes, like whatever online platform that is like our secret vault, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because- and so I decided to like check the vault the other day to share with a friend. My vault is on Vimeo. It's not even, but like I tried to like I was like scrolling. I was like, she's like, so how many auditions do you think you do a year? And I was like, let's check the vault. And it looked like about anywhere from 200 to 275 a year on average.
So almost one a day, pretty much half of a little over
275 is big. I would say 250 max, 250 max,
250 max.
250
Yeah.
max. That's a good year. Yeah. And so I
In
guess,
active months, as far as
mhm,
our industry, because we have the time where
yeah.
it's slower. That's
Yes.
pretty much one audition a day. on
Guess so,
average.
yes. Yeah, I
If
never
you
thought
take the
about it that
active
way.
months,
Yes.
and 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 how many have you booked from that
Oh.
250 solid 250?
Oh, I'm scared to actually
No,
know. Uh, I don't even know. I would say if I did let's even go on the lower end. If I said 200 a year, I might book. This has been the busiest year I've had of my career thus far. And this year, only yesterday I figured this out. I've booked 7 jobs. That's never been before. My average has been about 3 to 4 jobs a year. I'm being super candid.
and
Yeah,
what year are you in your career now? Is this year 16, 17,
13.
13? From leaving undergrad?
Leaving grad. I would say I would actually track it from grad forward. So leaving grad, it's been 13 years. Yeah.
13.
Yeah.
13. All right.
Yeah.
And just and it's now boom.
Journey. As I say, it's a journey, not a sprint. And the journey
That's right.
continues.
That's right. Yeah.
It's an interesting career it's an interesting, you already know, it's an interesting career that we're in.
Like,
Uh,
I always ask people this. Do you feel like you've made it?
no, and I also don't know if there's such a thing as made it. I don't know. Um, that's such a familiar term for us,
Yeah,
understandably,
yeah.
but it's not a term that I personally ascribe to or sits in my sort of lexicon of terms because I think that when I think of made it, it feels like an arrival.
Mm,
And I would hope that as long as we're alive, we're consistently on a journey so
mhm.
that the car keeps going, the ship keeps moving, like we keep moving. So if I made it, that means I stopped, you know? I really hope that I just kind of keep on the journey, and keep
Yeah,
discovering. I keep discovering. There are many things that I've wanted to experience that I've had a chance to experience, but there's still many that I haven't,
yeah.
you know? There's so
Mhm.
many things I haven't experienced yet. But I'm grateful for the ones that I have. Yeah, I don't see it there's no arrival point. There's no arrival.
No, I think that's a great response.
Yeah.
it's always a hard question to answer,
Yeah.
because people have different ideas about what that is. Because on the outside looking in, if your family could see that you made it because you've been on TV,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
right? Uh,
Yeah.
and you see yourself as it's a job and it's
Yes.
part of my career path, and
Mhm.
I'm steadily working and getting towards you know various places in my career.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, yeah, I think if you have any parting words for aspiring actors, any things to look out for, any myths and truths that you really want to share and deliver, is like everyone has this part wrong. This is what is the truth. Share it now.
God, there's probably, yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I would say, you really have the ability to make your own work, not make your own work in the way of like shoot a pilot or create something of your not that. I mean, your relationships is what helps to make your work as well too. And I think that, like Issa Rae talks about the whole concept of networking across. e- a lot of opportunities this year have not necessarily just come from my reps, but have been about cultivating relationships. Um, So it's about just being a good human as well too, and
Hmm.
cultivating connections with people that you feel aligned with creatively, who inspire you and that that you have something that you can share with them. I think
Hmm.
that opens up opportunities for really fulfilling work far into years you can't even see. And so that's what I would say. Cultivate connections with people, with other.
Hmm. Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Really appreciate your all the success to you. It's been great talking to you and hearing your
Yes.
story. Um, I look forward to seeing you hopefully in person at some point.
Yes.
Right out in the field, and maybe we'll work
Yes.
with one another. All
We might be
right.
gonna be on set together. We might be on set together.
All right. Great talking to you. I appreciate it. And congratulations on the new booking. This was
Thank
at
you.
number 8 now or number
No, this was number 7. This would have been
that's
number
number
7.
7. All right.
I mean, 7's a magical number, so we'll be
All
grateful
right.
and blessed with that.
All right. Enjoy your week.
Thank you.
All
Take
right.
care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is good, bro.
Yeah.
That's a wrap for this session in the waiting room. If this resonated with you, share it with another artist on the grind. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at In the Waiting Room Pod for more content and updates. If you're a working actor, head to our bio to fill out our survey. It helps us bring more voices into this community. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and keep showing up. The waiting isn't wasted. See you next time. Peace.